All right, Thomas.
Yes, sir.
Thomas, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
I grew up in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Uh, Foley, Alabama is where I was born at, actually. Gulf Shores is where we grew up at. Right there on the coast of Alabama and western Florida. If you know where Pensacola is, it's about 30 miles from Pensacola going into Alabama. And I lived there pretty much up until my 10th birthday or so, between my mom and my grandmother. And, my grandmother, we were staying with my grandmother at the time, and my grandma she decided that it was time my father helped out with a little thing. So she got a hold of him, and he showed up in our lives for about 3 years, and we'll say that didn't work out so well. And I moved back in with my mother around the age of, I don't know, 12 and a half or so. And, well, I should have probably stayed with my father because truth is, I probably would have been a lot better, life would have changed, turned out a lot differently. But, we all make decisions that, for one reason or another impact our lives. And well, this one impacted mine a lot bigger than I thought it was going to. But I moved, with my mom, and she was in sales at the time. She'd had a broken back beforehand, and she'd been working really hard to pay off her bills. She owed a couple $100,000 for all that. And well, she was a sales manager for a company, and that meant we were always either on the road or we were alone. Me and my little sister were alone at the house while my mom was off doing her thing, And that was okay, except for the idea that you don't leave a 12-year-old kid with a lot of money and another 10-year-old kid to live on their own at that age in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and not expect something bad to happen, And well, we were kids, we quit going to school pretty much and all that. And, I broke into a few things and, luckily I never got in a whole bunch of real big trouble right then. And that came later on. Well,
How far did you go in school?
I got to the ninth grade,
Mm-hmm.
Which is really not all that high, but I'm happy to have gotten that far, to be honest with you, because when I did get in trouble, I took that time there to learn to actually read and become very well read. Yeah, at least what I believe to be fairly well read. I read more books than most people I know. And I rarely read anything but nonfiction and have for a long time. It's funny when you're young. You hated school. You never wanted to be there. You wish you try to drag you in, and all you do is kick and fight to stay away. Now, I would give my damn left arm to be able to go back to school full time, and just sit back and learn and try to do something with myself.
Do you think there was too much freedom at home? Too much, or a lack of parental guidance?
Oh, there was definitely not much of that. Yeah, there was there was a lack of parental guidance. There was a lack of just about a lack of anything you could think of that had to do with being an adult. I was basically allowed to be the man of the house at the age of about 13 years old. And that's not, and I mean, it's empowering to a kid, but to everybody else, it's stupid. Or at least it should be. You know, 13-year-old children do not have the capacity to make the decisions that they do, or they could be if they were being allowed to be an adult. You know, I know I did not, and that has impacted my entire life. But you know, I can't say my life's been bad. I'm happy with who I've become. You know, for a long time I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, and I didn't like who I was, didn't like what I've done. But now I made a lot of changes in my life. You know, some more outward and some more inward. But uh, people who matter, that matter, have all noticed, and the people who don't usually don't matter, to me at least. You know.
What kind of things have you gotten into since
What do you mean?
since living at home?
You mean like? Well, I've done. I got into. Well, I started drinking when I was really young. I was probably a born alcoholic. You know, I got Irish, Scotch, Russian. You know, all this is my background, and Native American. I mean, it's like the moment I took a drink, you know, you had to know I was going to be a drunk. You know, so but that you know that being said, I did that for about 20 years, and I couldn't shake it for nothing in the world. Couldn't I tried the AA thing, I tried the NA thing, nothing would work, nothing helped, and then you know it's the craziest thing in the world is one day I started using heroin. You know, just kind of as something on the side, you know. Somebody turned me on to it. I said, okay, you know, yeah, why not? Next thing you know, I look up, it's been 2 months, I haven't had a drink of alcohol. It's weird. You know, I find it awkward to say that drinking, doing heroin saved my life from drinking. Because my doctors, every one of them thought I was dead for years because I quit going to see them. Around the time I quit drinking, I quit going to see them, you know. And they thought I was dead from the alcohol. And when I bumped back into him over some problems I had later on, and he straight up told me, he said, "I thought you were dead." I said, "Well, thanks, man." He said, "Well, you know, let's be honest about life you were living and everything. You know, if you hadn't quit drinking, you would be by now." And I said, "Yeah, fair enough, fair enough." So, I mean, I had to take that one with a grain of salt, but you know, it's true. Now I don't drink. I haven't drinking probably, I don't know, 10 years or so, 10, 12 years. I mean, I'll have a beer if I'm out at a something like somebody's birthday party or out at a nightclub or something. I'll order a beer and it'll probably sit there in front of me all night getting warm. You know, every now and then I might drink the whole beer and then order one more if I'm feeling really into it that night.
How old are you?
I'm 52 now.
52. Do you have kids?
Yeah, born 1971.
Do you have children?
No, sir, I do not.
No kids.
Knock on wood there. You know, I don't believe I would have been a very good father. You know, now I believe I would at least have tried, at this point in my life, I would try with all of my heart to give them all the things that I never had and everything I would have always wanted to. But up until recently, I would have been a horrible father. You know, it was all too me-centric. You know, all I really cared about was myself and what I could get for me, and that usually meant getting high and hanging out and partying and stuff. And well, you know, it ain't. It's like I said, I've made a lot of changes in my life, and that being one of them. You know that I want to give something back to this world from which I've taken so much. You know, and I'm trying to still figuring out how to do that, but we'll see. I got a couple of years left.
When did you move to San Francisco?
I moved here in 2000 actually. My fiance, I used to have a fiance. Her name was Julia. I won't use her last name because she's an opera singer, and you know, I don't wish to impact her in one way or another. You know, bad or good, and I still care greatly about her. You know, I love her, but I'm not in love with her. But she was a great girl. She stood by me a lot longer than she should have, and I could never knock her for that. You know, and shoot, we were here, and this is where the camel's that last straw broke the camel's back came out, and you know. We split up one last time, and that was it. But it did bring me to my home. I've lived in San Francisco longer than I've lived anywhere in my entire life, almost by double.
Have you lived on the streets here?
On the streets, I've lived in the streets of San Francisco. Out of the 24 years I've been here, I would say I've lived at least 15 of them on the streets.
You have housing now.
Now I have a spot. I have cable TV. I have a dog named Bubbles. I love so much my Bubble trouble. But you know, that's my child these days. You know, I made myself a promise that. You know, I may screw everything else up in this world, but at least one thing I'm going to do right, and I'm going to raise her, like, you know, with no violence in her life, and no, you know, she doesn't know the first thing about violence, about hate or pain. All that little dog knows is love, food, and love, and that's all she should know, you know, and that's. It's, you know, and it means the world to me that you know that it stays like that, you know. But yeah, you know, life has gotten a lot better. To be honest with you, you know, I got actually funny renal failure, kidney disease. I had prostate problems. Big old prostate caused a blockage in my bladder, so I couldn't drain my bladder properly, which caused my what do you call those, kidneys to pickle. Basically, it pickled my kidneys, and so now I do dialysis a couple of times a week, and you know, yeah, it's But the truth is, I think it saved my life because at the time I was about 3 years ago or so when it first came on, I was living very dangerously as far as like the lifestyle I was living, and now I don't.
What is your drug now?
My drug is fentanyl, which is. They say killing people left and right, and I suppose it is, but I think that has more to do with the people who are believing that they can take a big old shot of dope, and that every time they go out, that Narcan's going to bring them back, and it doesn't work like that every time. unfortunately. And I feel so bad for the parents of the children that just happens for. I mean, because they have, they feel all is lost when it's not necessary, first of all. Secondly, it's just people would be a little more responsible with themselves, it would not happen.
Are you happier as a opiate addict than as an alcoholic?
Much. Much. In many ways, I mean, if I have to make my choice, by far, I'd prefer to be an opiate addict because, there are a lot of different reasons, but one of the main ones you hear, I try to put it out there is like, I hear people taking another drink and going home beating their old lady's ass all the time. Never once heard about somebody doing another shot, going home and beating the old lady. It's just it's a whole totally different mindset and things. And me being a really nonviolent kind of person, I definitely embrace that out of it. Nothing else. That aspect of it. That most people that use what I do are fairly nonviolent people. We just want to get high. We're not trying to hurt anybody. Or anything. And regardless of what some people may believe, I'm not ashamed of what I do. I mean, there's by far, in my opinion, and many doctors I know, that alcohol is by far worse than any other drug known to man, as far as I'm concerned. If you were to take the deaths that were alcohol related in just 1 week over the country, you would have more deaths than you would have than all the opiate related deaths in a year. But yet alcohol is okay. It's okay to do that. But the damn opiates, yeah, it's an epidemic, and I agree. It's terrible all these people die. But think about how many people die every single day behind a shot of booze.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your arm.
Ooh, truth is, I don't know a whole bunch about that, to be honest with you. It happened about, okay, what's today's date? Today would be
February 2nd.
The 2nd? Okay.
February 3rd.
The 3rd? Okay. I woke up on the 18th of this last month with this gone. They say checked me in on the 15th, I believe it was, or the 14th, with a bad abscess, with a infection, abscess that had gone septic or something in my arm. And I mean, I knew I had abscess and everything, but nothing that was to take my arm off about that was for damn sure. But that's, apparently the doctors at the time disagreed. And, that's just about all I really know about it, to be honest with you.
You woke up without an arm.
Yeah. I now that might have been the hardest thing I've ever had to actually live through. As far as like breaking me down, yeah, it's my arm, man. This will forever change my life. But I'm not gonna let that keep me down. I'm gonna try real hard not to, at least. These days with all the breakthroughs with electronics, neural nets and prosthetics, you never know. I might be able to get into one of the studies with Elon's company or one of these other big companies where they drop the neural nets in there, and I can control. I can control my prosthetic through my mind. Through the impulses that my mind generates, and it they've already got them the way they can get them. One person can in one state can open it up and do it across the net. I've been reading. It's funny. I was watching a bunch of stuff about this before it ever happened. It's almost like it was prophetic. But I'm going to look at this with a bright side in my life. That there was something I needed to learn, and this is somehow going to help teach me this. And maybe humility, something I don't know, but that's how I'm going to go with this, because just try any other way makes me want to. I don't know, just doesn't make me feel good. So I'm going to assume that this happens for a reason that I've yet to discover, and one day it'll reveal itself to me, and I'll be happy that it somehow, some way, I'll find a kernel of happiness in this. What
would you say is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear? That's always been a big problem for me. I never really had a whole bunch of fear in my life. I wish I'd had a healthy dose of it most of my life, but I haven't. Which leads to a lot of stupid decisions throughout life. I don't know. My biggest fear, losing my mother or my sister. Either one of those two. I spend a lot of time with both of them, and they are the world to me, Used to not be like that, but then again, nothing ever used to be the way it is these days. So, I'm okay with that. But I love my mama very much. I love my sister very much, and hopefully I won't have to worry about losing either one of them anytime soon.
If you had your life to live all over again, would you have done anything differently?
It sounds good, I'd have done a lot of things differently, probably, but then it wouldn't have been my life anymore. It would have been his life, I'm fairly happy with who I've become in my life. It's taken a long time to get here. It's gone down a lot of different roads, but yes, I love who I am. I like who I am, I like who I am, and I love who I'm becoming.
That's great.
And all I can say is that 10 years from now, if we were to have this interview, it'd be a little different, but I hope it'd be mostly the same. That I'd be happy with who I am, and not be angry about who everybody else is.
Thomas, what would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
The most important lesson. Humility. That it's not all about me. That it's not all about me.
That's great. All right. Thomas, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
I wish you all the luck in recovering from your arm.
Thank you. It'll happen for sure.